What is up, YouTube? It is the Ville Outdoors here today. Today is July 11th of 2023. It's actually going to be my first video I'm filming in July, even though we're already over 10 days into the month. I've been doing some things that have been getting in the way of fishing, and the weather wasn't great in the first part of the month either. So we're finally fishing today. We are here in New Jersey. This is southern Jersey. And right now we're going to be fishing some ponds for some predatory fish. These are backwater ponds on the Atlantic slope. So our main target today is going to be a species of pickerel. It is going to be a species of pickerel that usually prefers the slower pools of tiny streams and likes a lot of vegetation, and there's definitely a lot of vegetation here, so it might be hard to try and get these fish out of here, but we're going to be going after the redfin pickerel. It is a species of the American pickerel, which is split into two, one being the redfin pickerel that we're after, and another being the grass pickerel, which is more towards the west of the Appalachian Mountains down from the Great Lakes. And the redfin pickerel finds its home along the Atlantic slope in kind of these marshy areas and the slow pools of creeks and stuff like that. Near me, they're found in some streams in the Delaware River tributaries. They kind of have been disappearing a little bit from Pennsylvania, but here in New Jersey, they're still pretty stable, so we're going to try and find them here. If we were to catch one, that would be my first ever redfin pickerel, so that'd be really cool. That's what we're going to be trying to do today. I'm currently at 131 species on my life list. Last Thursday, I actually went up to the Scranton area and added another one to my life list, that being the greenside darter, and I should be able to include a picture there for you. But our main mission is going to be redfin pickerel today. I see a lot of mosquito fish coming up to the surface, so I got on a little rooster tail, 1/24 ounce white with a silver blade. Given that we don't snag all this vegetation, we should be able to have some pickerel come out and smack this thing thinking they're little mosquito fish. So that is going to be the plan for today. There's a couple of these different ponds around here, so we're going to see if we can get our target species to show up. If not, I do have another spot that we can try. So enough talking, let's get after it. Hopefully you guys enjoy the video, and hopefully we can get our target species. All right guys, finally I got a fish to bite, and it is our first ever redfin pickerel. Look at that beauty. He's got a blue tongue, characteristic of the redfin pickerel. We're gonna take a shot and release this guy. Well, the redfin pickerel slipped out of my hands as I was releasing it, so I couldn't get a good release on him for you guys. I didn't turn the camera on immediately when I was fighting him because I really didn't want to lose him, but now that we got one on the board, we can be a little more relaxed about it. That is our first ever redfin pickerel, which means that is species 132 for me on my life list. If you guys don't know what life listing is, it's basically, instead of trying to catch the biggest fish or targeting a specific type of fish, you're basically trying to catch all the species you can that are possible on a hook and line. At least that's how I do it. Other people may count those they catch with a net, but I am all hook and line, whether it be lures, bait, or whatever. I catch all my fish on a hook and a line. So that was a species I've been after a long time, the redfin pickerel. I went and made a lot of trips for it last year, or at least tried to target it on my trips into the Pine Barrens, but didn't have much luck. But I finally got my first one today, so that's super cool. Let's see if we can get a bigger one. Well, this angry little guy bit right at the bank. That looks to be a pumpkin seed, probably a bluegill hybrid mixed in there too. Not exactly what we were after, but a fish is a fish. We'll take a shot and release this guy. All right, guys, our sunfish is unhooked there. We're just gonna go ahead and then flop back in the water. And he is off and ready. So 2 fish on the board, 1 sunfish hybrid, and 1 redfin pickerel. Let's see what else we can get. All right, guys, got another fish here. This one bit at the last second, so I didn't really get much of a fight on camera. This looks more of like a pure pumpkin seed. Doesn't have all like the vertical bars as strong as the other one did. Got the white and red on the opercular flap there. So that looks more pure pumpkin seed to me. Pretty little fish. Let's take a shot and release this guy. All right, guys, last look at our little pumpkin seed there. Just gonna go back in the water. He is good to go. No more pickerel so far, but let's keep after it. Hopefully we'll get some other ones. Another little pumpkin seed here. These guys seem to like biting at the last second and are much more plentiful in these backwater marshy ponds than they are in the normal lakes I fish. There he is. I'm back in the water. Well, fishing in some thick stuff here. That is my first pure bluegill there of the day. Let's go ahead and get this guy unhooked. I'm glad redfin is the first fish that showed up today, because everything else has been sunfish, sunfish, sunfish. There he is. Just a little guy. I'm gonna toss him back. So you can see I'm like chest high in brush right now. Holding my rod up high just to get a cast out. But hopefully it'll pay off. There's another sunfish. There's another pumpkin seed, it looks like. Let's get this guy unhooked. There he is. Back in the water he goes. Another pumpkin seed. Not what we're after. This place is just infested with these things. But very limited on the pickerel, as it seems most places are. I would think over in here in this cove would have some, but nothing yet. Well, guys, so far it has just been bluegill upon pumpkin seed upon bluegill. Nothing pickerel like since that first redfin pickerel we caught that we didn't get a whole lot of footage of. So I'm gonna keep walking. There's a few more little ponds I wanted to fish, and then we're gonna travel about an hour north to more of a lake that supposedly has these redfin pickerel at. It probably was going to be a little bit harder to target them since they're going to be in a lake instead of a pond. Probably going to be just as vegetated. So we'll see how we can do. But yeah, let's keep walking, get to these other ponds, and then if that doesn't work, we'll travel up to that lake and see if we can find some more pickerel. All right, guys, we have made it to the second spot. Looks really good, but I have no idea how we're gonna fish it. I assume I'm gonna have to tie on a trout magnet and just try and punch some of the holes in the weeds, but there doesn't look to be a whole lot of holes in the weeds. It kind of just looks like a straight blanket of vegetation for the most part, but there might be some spots we'd be able to sneak a trout magnet through at least a little bit. So I'm gonna walk down a little bit, see if I can find anything a bit less thick, and see if I can get a lure in the water. All right, guys, there's some stuff in here that looks relatively fishable, but the spinner's not gonna do it. So let's switch to a smaller jig, like a trout magnet, and start punching this salad. All right, we got our signature gold trout magnet tied on. Now let's see what we can get to come up over here. The plan is just going to be poking around the weeds and hoping we can find a fish. All right, guys, out of nowhere, we got ourselves another redfin pickerel. This one much darker in color. Took the trout magnet. Hopefully you guys get a good view of that guy there. Pretty little fish, much darker. Let's take a shot and release this guy. All right, guys, we got our redfin pickerel unhooked here. We're gonna try and give him a good release, but I don't really have a good way of getting down, so I'm just gonna give him a light little toss down. And he's back in the water and good to go. I don't know if you can see that little stump right down here, but I was jigging the trout magnet out and towards the stump, and right at the bank, that pickerel came out and housed the trout magnet. It was in there pretty good. So that is our second redfin pickerel of the day from our second spot. Not too bad. Hopefully we can find some more fishable water and get some more on the board. Guys, pickerel on. This one's a bit nicer. Oh, he just took a flop. All right, we got him. Another gorgeous redfin there. We're gonna take a quick shot of this guy and then we're gonna let him go. Our third one of the day. All right, our redfin's gonna go back in the water here. Gonna try and get a little bit nicer release on this guy. There he goes. I don't want to get it all the way down in there because there's a lot of mud. And I don't want to be swamped in mud on my way home, but second redfin from this spot, third one on the day. Not bad. Guys, look at this redfin here. That is a beauty. We're gonna handle this guy. Try and handle this guy a bit better. Whew. Look at that gorgeous fish right there. Look at those red fins, as the name suggests, I guess. All right, let's get a nice picture of this guy and let's send him on his way. We got our redfin unhooked here. They got blue tongues. I'm going to try and show you if I can get his mouth open. Can you see the blue color in there? Pretty cool. All right, this guy's ready to go. I think we handled him enough. Go on, buddy, be free. He's good to go. Fourth redfin of the day. All right, wasn't expecting this guy to show up. I just wetted my hands because this is a protected species. Whoops, this is a banded sunfish. Absolutely gorgeous colors on this guy. First one on artificial. We're gonna go ahead and take a shot and release this guy, but gorgeous fish. All right, guys, last look at our banded sunfish here. We got him unhooked. He's gonna go right back in the water. Perfectly safe, off to swim another day. It's the first sunfish species I've seen out of this lake. Makes sense for it to be in here, but not what we're after. All right, didn't get anything else at the main lake after that little banded sunfish. There was a little bit of water I passed over on my way over here. I'm going to try and dangle the trout magnet in there. It wasn't very much water at all, but it still could be enough to hold a fish or two. So I'm going to try and walk down past my car and go and try and find that water to see if there's any fish in there. And then we're probably going to call it for the day before I die of heat exhaustion. All right, guys, this is the bit of water here I was talking about. Doesn't look like much, but could potentially hold some life. I'm not even really going to make a cast. I'm just going to dangle the trout magnet down there and see if I can get something stirring. Well, guys, my theory was wrong. There was nothing hiding out in this little puddle. I was thinking maybe there'd be a little mud sunfish hanging around, but nothing of that sort. So that is going to do it for today's episode of the Villa Outdoors. So I thank you guys for tuning in, those that did. Feel free to drop a like and subscribe if you enjoyed the video. We caught our first ever Redfin Pickerel. So that is going to be species number 132 for me. As I said earlier, the first spots weren't producing too much. Got the Redfin Pickerel out of that one little pond, and then it was just bluegill, pumpkin seed, bluegill, pumpkin seed, bluegill, pumpkin seed, over and over again. So I drove an hour north to the lake that I was at just a moment ago, and I caught 3 more Redfin Pickerel, the last one being pretty decent size, so very happy with that. And then we were able to add in a surprise banded sunfish, which is a protected species of fish in the state of New Jersey, so we had to make sure to handle that guy properly and let him go. All right, my first one on artificial, so that was pretty cool. So once again, thank you guys for tuning in, and I will see you guys on the next episode of the Villa Outdoors.